Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So I had a great question in the comments asking, a lot of YouTubers now, most of their properties don't cash flow that well. And how do you make cash flow in today's market? Where can you buy real estate that cash flows? So I'm under one of those categories as well, right? I own 52 units. On average, they cash flow about $10,000 a month. And it's assuming there's no major repair, like a major plumbing repair or roof repair. So it's really cash flow with parentheses, right? In reality, that cash flow is just being saved for a major capital expense that will come, right? So as you own real estate longer and longer, I kind of learned that cash flow is a myth, and you make most of your money in appreciation, but the downside is appreciation doesn't pay the bills today. It doesn't improve your lifestyle today unless you sell the property, pay the capital gains tax, and then you take your equity, and then you can do with it whatever you want, right? So I might be hitting at that point where a lot of my properties, especially in California, appreciate significantly, and I have to smash the piggy bank, cash out the equity, pay capital gains tax, pay depreciation recapture, and then to use that to pay off my primary residence, which will free me of a $5,500 a month mortgage, and that will improve my quality of life significantly, right? So anyways, how do I find markets that cash flow? So believe it or not, they do exist, right? And I have two examples of properties that I own. So for me, California, high coastal markets, appreciation markets, do not cash flow. Like in California now, most of my deals, they break even, if not slightly cash flow negative. And keep in mind, I have great interest rates on these properties. I have, 3.5% average on these properties, and they still barely break even despite me self-managing it. If I had a property manager, they'd be cash flow negative, but because I self-manage it, it's neutral, but that's not factoring in expenses, right? Like if I have repairs, then I'm cash flow negative a little bit in that point. So because of that, I pivoted to the Midwest markets like Huntsville, Alabama, where I could buy a new build, new construction for $250K, rents out for $2,000 a month. And at 3% interest, I cash flow, let's say, I think I cash flow about $700 a month. But factoring today's interest rates, the homes might be worth $300,000 now, and let's just say your interest rate's at 8%, then you might be cash flowing $150 a month. But in reality, that's just really saved for any repairs, maintenance, or vacancy, right? So it's kind of a break even, right? So that one, what I would say is like you could buy it, but when you initially buy it with your 8% interest rate, it's going to be, break even at best. You might make $150 to $200 in cash flow, but just call it break even. And then when interest rates drop down, and if you can refinance your rate lower, that's when you cash flow. That's playing the long game of real estate, right? So you kind of have to buy real estate, then wait. Another thing you can do is what I did is I bought multifamily, so apartments in the Midwest. So I have my 26 unit, which that one cash flows like crazy, right? Like that carries my team, to be honest. That one cash flows, I think I gross around about $16,000 a month, and my expenses is around $8,000 a month, and that's including like my mortgage. So at that point, I'm cash flowing about $8,000 a month to $6,000 depending on the month, and that's pretty significant, right? But I locked in a 4% interest rate on that deal. But even my interest rate was higher. My loan is like only about $350,000. So if you have a $350,000 loan, whether it's 4% versus 8%, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be higher, but it's not gonna be that different, right? Versus you have a 4% loan on $1 million loan versus 4% on 8% on $1 million loan amount, right? So the lower the loan amount, interest rates don't affect it as much, relatively speaking, right? Versus if you have a high loan amount, higher interest rates will affect it a lot more, right? So like for context, for example, if I have my 26 unit has a $350,000 loan amount at 4% interest, my monthly loan payment is $1,900. Versus my 20 unit has the same loan amount of $350 at a 6.5% interest rate, so it's 2.5 points higher. My monthly payment is $2,600, so $700 more, right? For 2.5% more interest. So for my 20 unit, the gross rents is around, I think it's like $9,000, like about $9,000, $8,000, $9,000. And after all my expenses, I'm maybe cash flowing about $1,000 to $2,000 a month on this deal. But if there's a major repair, then it wipes it out. So, there, and then my mobile home park, I'm seller financing it. And basically, one thing that I'm seeing is that, I'm just getting $2,200 a month. It's easy money, right? It's like easy money that I get every month. So that's kind of what's nice about it. So, if you add up all my properties, my California real estate's cash flow negative, my apartments are cash flow positive. I'm overall net positive about $8,000 to $10,000 a month, depending on the month. And basically, so how to buy cash flows? You just got to buy properties in the Midwest. And the problem in the Midwest is not much appreciation, right? Like for me, I buy multifamily real estate because the value is not based on sales comps, right? Because if I were to buy single family homes in Oklahoma, they don't appreciate much. You can buy a single family home in Oklahoma for like $150K and it doesn't really appreciate. But with multifamily, you can force appreciation by increasing the NOI, by assuming the cap rate stays the same, then you increase the value, right? So, if my NOI goes from 100,000 to 150,000 and my cap rate still stays at 8 cap, then my value goes up. And I can control that by doing renovations, renovate the units, raise the rents to market rents, manage my expenses well, right? Am I making, am I keeping my insurance down? Am I keeping my expenses down? Am I trying to be cost effective? And these things add up, right? Over time, they add up over time. So really, that's how you manage it. And so because I can control my NOI, I control my value. So the better my NOI goes up, the more the value goes up. So that's how you get cash flow and appreciation, right? California single family homes, it's just appreciation, no cash flow. With my multifamily 5+ units in Oklahoma, which is the Midwest, the more cash flow, the higher my NOI, the higher the value, right? But the reverse can happen too. If my NOI goes down, my value goes down. So it's a double-edged sword. In California, if my expenses go up and my rent goes down, the value stays the same because the value is based on sales comps, right? So the value goes up and down depending on just what your neighbor's house sells for. Versus in Oklahoma, in apartments, if my NOI goes up, my value goes up. If my NOI goes down, my value goes down. If my cap rate goes up, my value goes down. If my cap rate goes down, my value goes up. Just math, right? So that's really all it is. So for me, if you want cash flow, to answer this question after my long rant, is buy multifamily in Midwest states that are more cost effective. That's it. Buy multifamily in like Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee. Like there's cash flow markets out there. You just have to buy them at a lower cost basis. Like I'm looking at, 18 unit that's around under $1 million. I'm looking at a 14 unit that's, he wants about $750K. So it's out there, right? But the rents are gonna be lower, like $500 to $700 per door, give or take. But you can still get like $8,000 to $10,000 in rent. Like I have a 26 unit. Each one rents for about $750 on average. I'm looking at my 20 unit. Believe it or not, it rents for about $500 to $550. I'm looking at an 18 unit now where the rents can be about $700 a door. I'm looking at a 14 unit where it's about $500 per door, but it adds up, right? It adds up over time. So really, that's how it would look. I personally am. If I want cash flow, then I'm looking in Huntsville, Alabama, and Oklahoma, because that's where I have unfair advantage. But if you have unfair advantage in Georgia, Alabama, Missouri, those cash flow states in the Midwest, then that's how you can cash flow, right? But if you want to buy in California, you're not going to cash flow unless you do like maybe Airbnb, but that's cyclical as well. So for me, that's why I diversify. I buy in California for appreciation, and I buy in Oklahoma, Alabama for cash flow, and together it creates a portfolio that hopefully it's more like yin and yang. So that's really how you do it. And like I said, don't be discouraged. Like if you have a lower loan amount, right? If you have a $300,000 loan amount, whether the interest rate's 4% versus 8%, it's not as big of an impact. Like I said, my 2 apartments, it's a difference of $700 a month. That's 1 more unit's worth of rent, right? But if you bought something for like $2-3 million is your loan, yes, between 4% and 8%, it's gonna be significant, right? It's gonna be significant. So that's why you have to buy at a low cost basis and ride out the years where the interest rate's high and the cash flow's lower. And once the interest rates are lower, refinance and the values will go up, right? And your cash flow will increase. So it's that's why real estate's a long-term game. Like, that's why I own 52 units of real estate. That's why I cash flow $8,000 to $10,000 a month, which is enough to replace my W-2 income, but I still work because I know that that cash flow is being saved for a rainy day. And I don't want to touch it. I want that to save up to buy more real estate, and I'll live off my W-2 income right now. Right? I'll live off my W-2 income right now. That's why I still work, because like I'm asset rich, cash poor. But the longer you can extend this game, the more wealth you can build up. And when I'm ready to stop working, I'm gonna sell a property, pay off my primary residence, wipe off $5,500 a month mortgage off of me, take off the load off of me, and I can sell another property and just sit on the money and do whatever I want. Buy index funds, put it in a high yield savings account. So really, that's it. So hopefully you found value from this video. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments. If you want to buy your first multifamily deal with some guidance, check out the mentorship program down below. If you want to join my school community where you have multifamily investors, check that out as well. And also, once again, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.